how much did the wholesaler make? He said, she made $500,000, like that. And I was like, what? He said, she's a badass.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
Hello guys, this is Ty, aka the Flip Man. And today, this is going to be a special one because I have the queen of off-market commercial real estate, my friend Tammy Earp. She's out of Tennessee, near Nashville, the Clarksville area, right?
You are.
And she's here to share her amazing story and how she gets down with wholesaling real estate, but on the commercial level. When you hear this, you're not going to believe it, but she is very engaging. So once I let her go, it's going to be over. How's it going, Tammy?
It's going great. Thank you for having me on your show with you today. I appreciate being invited to be on here and talk with you. I think you're a great guy too, and I can't wait to do several deals with you.
Same here. So just a little backstory. Now, I haven't even posted the interview because I can't find it. Right. So I got it, but I can't find it. I changed laptops and long story short. But anyway, I was interviewing this guy. His name is Blake Daly, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Am I saying it correctly?
Yes.
And he's in the boutique hotel industry. And we were talking about a deal that he picked up in some part of Tennessee for like $7 million. And so during that interview, I asked him, well, how did you find the deal? And he was like, through a wholesaler. I was like, huh? He's like, yeah. But so we went on and started talking about something else, and I came back to it. I said, well, how much did the wholesaler make? He said she made $500,000, like that. And I was like, what? He said, she's a badass. Like that. So long story short, after we stopped recording or whatever, I asked him, could he make the connect? And he did. He put us on an email string. I think we talked the next day. I don't think we talked that day. We talked the next day. And it just went from there. And so we've been knowing each other probably about, maybe a year. Maybe it's been that long or whatever. And so enough of that. I just wanted to give you a backstory on how we met. So Tammy, if you could just introduce yourself and give people how I like to go back before real estate, and then we get into how you got into what you're doing.
Okay. I have several things behind my belt over the years. I have been in management, retail management, growing up as a kid. I adopted my 2 children, wanted to work from home and not for someone else. And so I actually opened a tanning and toning business that I had for about 4 years. I sold it. It was debt free. And then I started being at home all the time then. And then I decided that I was going to open a mobile notary business. So I opened the mobile notary business and took it statewide for Tennessee. And then less than 2 years later, I sold it, and I had taken it nationwide. So I took it from statewide of Tennessee to nationwide, closing mobile notary deals, refinance mortgages all over the world. And then I met a lieutenant colonel in the Army that had some rental houses that he, was tired of taking care of himself. And so we changed those rental houses into rent-to-own homes, so that he would not have to handle any of the repairs at the properties. And it gave the people in the homes that had already been there, when we flipped those to rent-to-own contracts, it gave them a real sense of ownership. Mm-hmm. So fast forward.
Dude, every house could be a deal. I just have no clue what I'm doing.
That guy's crazy, right? But if you have no buyers, no sellers, no clue on what to say, what contracts to use, no matter what part of the process of putting deals together, wouldn't it be great if you could tap into my brain, my 22 plus years of experience at any time? All you have to do is text the word CLUE, CLUE, to 205-964-5243. You have 24 access to me as your one-on-one coach through my Flip Man GPT. It is a clone of me, all of my content rolled into one place. That's over 8 million words. I like to think I have something to say in 8 million words. That's all my courses, all my YouTube videos, over 17 years of my brain at your fingertips 24/7. While I'm asleep, you can still be actually talking to me either by voice or by text. So text the word clue to access and test drive it right now at 205-964-5243. Text the word clue. Now back to the video.
19 years later, I am a wholesaler. I call myself the transparent wholesaler. I never let what I'm making going to determine that deal will not close. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've always stuck to. I call myself the non-price gouging wholesaler. A lot of times we get out here and we all work really hard, but a lot of people sit around and wait for that big deal, that great big deal, when it's not really about the great big deal. It's about the relationships and the loyalty that you build between your sellers and your buyers. I'm very transparent to my sellers that I am not a realtor, that I'm a wholesaler. I tell them my why. My why is that I have adopted 2 children at birth who are both now 23 and 20 in college. And then my mother with Parkinson's that got diagnosed 5 years ago. Those 3 individuals are my why. That's my drive every day. That's my passion. And real estate is my passion. It's also my peace. I could have a very stressful day. Another client calls, I'm back on the phone, and it feels like the whole world just starts turning back around again. My sellers know exactly what I do. My buyers know exactly what I do. A lot of wholesalers will get a deal and they'll just hold on and holding that price, passing by 10, 12, 15 different buyers at a time on the same deal, when if they had just taken some off of what they were supposed to make, that deal would have closed 6 months prior, and they wouldn't be dealing with that deal anymore. So I try to be very fair, across the board. Everyone in business knows that you're not here to work for free, but I feel like there's a fine line to be able to show your sellers and your buyers that you're not going to be the reason why their deal doesn't sell. You're not going to hold up their deal.
Okay. All right. So let's go back. So that lieutenant colonel deal. So that was your first quote unquote real estate deal outside of selling your businesses, that you did. So, and so from there, did a switch go off, or you still didn't really get it, or you were like, it still was a gradual thing to ramp up or whatever?
It was the start for me, because I realized that I'm born and raised in the town that I live in. And I realized, my whole family had been here. And so then I just started talking and getting back to know like tired landlords, that were tired of taking care of properties, and showing them how we made the switch for this other gentleman. And then started doing the same thing with a lot of them.
Okay.
And so I was like,
so you were taking portfolios of single family houses in most cases, and going to landlords and getting them to say, hey, I know you love the cash flow, but I'm sure you hate broken toilets or stopped up toilets. Let's remove that by giving ownership, and you still can receive the cash flow. And they own it. You're the bank now. Like if you have a loan with Wells Fargo and there's the roof is leaky, you don't call Wells Fargo, you call the roofer. So, right. So you transition people into that. So when did you go into can you remember your first non-single family house deal? I know it's
Not-
a lot of them.
Yeah, I started off driving for dollars, and that's how I did every single deal.
Okay.
I still drive for dollars today. And I can drive down the street, and to be honest, I'm watching the traffic, but I'm really looking around me as I'm driving. And
What catches your eye? Well, let's go back, because I know you know what you're doing now, but back then, if you saw a vacant warehouse, you had never done one of those before. What caught your eye then, and how did you know at what price point would make sense?
Ty, when I started, Mr. Flip Man, when I started, I think that as we grow, we start to believe in ourselves more, that we are figuring this out. Like, I never and still have it in 19 years, never gone to, a meet. Like, I just went to my first real estate meet and greet like a year ago and spoke. But up until then, I never went to any real estate functions, any long weekends where you pay $5,000 or $10,000 or more to go hear somebody else speak or learn. And so, I stayed in the single family, duplex, triplex, quad realm for a lot of years. And then, to be honest, and because I was self-taught, and, I would drive for dollars. I would find a property. I would go home. I would look it up. I would call the seller, or if he was local, I would go knock on their door, tell him what I do. Hey, how are you doing? This is what I do. I've just got investors that want to buy flip properties, and I saw yours empty. Would you be interested in selling? And told them, who I was. I was a wholesaler, not a realtor. And then I would get one, and then I would go sell it. Then I'd go drive for dollars and get some more. Then I go sell them. I take calls from 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. And so I've always had this mentality that if I can do this, then I learn this, and then I grow from that, and then I move forward. So I have the mentality, if I can do this, I bet I could do this. If I can do this, I bet I could do this. And I've been that way my whole life. And so I broke off into commercial maybe 5 years ago. And I'll have to say it was the best thing, one of the best choices I had ever made. The reason why I had never broken off into commercial prior to 5 years ago is because I guess I didn't really know a lot about commercial. I didn't know if the deals went the same way. I knew that they would end up paying more. So it was definitely worth my time and effort to learn it. But a lot of the systems and a lot of the lead sources and the systems and the running the cap rates and the NOIs, I don't do that. I haven't ran a cap rate or an NOI in 19 years, and I'm not going to start today. So I think I was trying to break myself off into something that for a long, long time I thought that was way bigger than me, because I didn't have time. I've stayed so busy and then didn't know a lot from what other people knew. So I think sometimes that held me back. And looking back now, I wish that I hadn't let that hold me back. People learn a lot listening to other people, but I think it's really about your inner drive. Whether I'm choosing to be at the golf course 6 days a week, or I want to be out grinding and hustling for real estate, making calls, making connections. When I'm in the grocery store, if I hear somebody talk about a rental house, I'll give them my card and say, hey, you like rental houses? I still sell those too. So I really feel like that anybody has, as long as you have the drive and you want to succeed, that it doesn't matter who you are, what background you came from, how much money you were born into. It really has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with all of your inner drive.
Let me ask you about that. So when, what did that happen by accident? Someone bought you something because you may have done business with them before and say, hey, can you move this? Or can you recall what made you, decide to just dive into some deals in that way?
I think it was, I drove past the commercial building, and it was just a warehouse. And I drove past it and I thought, today's as good as any other day. So instead of just driving past that building that I had seen sitting there for so long and never touched it, never tried to call and look at any of it, I wrote down that address and thought, you know what? I just really, I guess, had that mentality that day that if I can do this, I can do this, and I could either sit here and keep making the same small wholesale and assignment fees on all these deals, or I can plunge off into commercial with warehouses and hotels and townhouse communities and storage units and strip centers and make more money. And, I'm 54 years old. I'm not getting any younger. I want to leave a legacy behind to my children and to all the people that know me. And my legacy to them while I'm on earth is working and doing deals with them, because I split 50 commission or, on the assignment fee that I have if you bring me a buyer. So I feel like my legacy that I would leave behind is what I want to live while I'm living. And that's to help other people.
All right. So I know people love to hear numbers. Do you recall, like with that warehouse, do you recall the transaction and how it went down as far as you reaching out to the owner and as far as the numbers, as far as pricing? Why did he allow it to sit there so long? Because we'll see commercial property, especially if you live in a particular area, you just see it sitting vacant just year after year after year. And then all of a sudden you see a backhoe out there breaking up the concrete, or something like. So, like, if you could just expound on that a little bit.
This particular man had owned the building for about 20 years. And he had 2 children. He thought that it had been vacant about 6 years. He thought that he wanted to leave it to his children to do something with. And then he didn't have, it needed some repairs on it. He didn't have that, the money to be able to get it, to do the work that it needed to be done, to be able to turn around and lease it back out. And I think it's just in a lot of times that old school mentality. A lot of people, even the sellers these days, don't really know that, I could pull in a partner and the partner put up the money to get the building up and running and then partner up on the building. There's so many different creative ways you can take down a property package. But I called somebody that I knew that owned other warehouses here in town, and they wanted it immediately. I made $30,000 off of it. So if I was out teaching someone something, I would say, remember, you're not the person that bought it. You're not the person that had bought it originally, and you're not the person that's buying it now. You're just that person in the middle that's connecting 2 dots. And, in 19 years, I've never had a buyer come back and say, you made too much money off that deal and you stuck me. I ended up not coming out on top. I've never had that conversation with somebody, and I'm not going to start now.
If someone was going to start, scouting, just driving for dollars, and as you know, like with anything with houses, but more so with commercial. And I think, people, when they think about commercial, they think of it in the same sense they do with houses, like it's just one thing. No, that they're different. Like you said, warehousing, strip centers, multifamily, self-storage, hotel, motels. They're all different animals. Now, all of them are based at the end of the day on how much income can they produce, or the actual at its best, highest and best use or whatever. So if someone was going to get out there and just start looking at any particular market, what would you say they should start first? If they were just going to quote unquote drive for dollars.
I would say that if you've never done wholesaling before, you don't need to jump the gun and jump straight into the commercial field. I would say also at the same time, don't drive past and leave a building that is sitting there, just sitting there. Because if you don't help the seller sell it, someone else will. I do feel like, if you're out driving for dollars, I feel like you should, start with your warm market. Instead of sitting on the couch after you have dinner, gas up your car, take a notepad and, go into the areas to where, I feel like need help, need to be cleaned up, need investor money, brought into those areas to clean those houses up and to give people a better way of living. And, not having to live in torn down, terrible looking properties, and everybody can only afford to pay what they can have paid to raise their families in. But I feel like that no matter what area it is, you shouldn't have a family living in a house where it looks like it needs to be torn down. And so I'm very compassionate to that. That's where I started, and I still drive there today. I was driving for dollars earlier.
Are you mainly focused right there in Clarksville? Because I'm not sure how big it is, even though the first self-storage deal I did was in Clarksville. Mm-hmm. Or do you bleed over into Nashville also? Because I know it's not that far.
I go over into Nashville too. I'm about 45 minutes to 50 minutes from different parts of Nashville, maybe an hour. Mm-hmm. I don't draw for dollars per se as much, but I do have a lot of sellers out of the Nashville market that contact me that are either on my group or, have heard about me and want me to help them. Mm-hmm. And I'll sell it. I can't promise. I tell the sellers I can't always promise that I can sell, but I tell them that I'm dang sure going to give it a shot.
As far as the pricing on it, and I sort of know this answer, but then I don't. Do you say, well, the seller might give you a price and you'll be like, I don't know if that's going to go with my group, or you just put it out there and say, hey, this is your price. I'll let my group tell you what they're willing to pay for it.
It's exactly what I do. Every seller that I've ever sold anything for is also on my group. I think it's healthy for them to see the interaction about their property, their particular deal. And it always brings me repeat business. And, I never go inside of what the seller wants unless I can't get a little piece above what the seller wants. And I have a consulting agreement and in place with each seller. And I'm so transparent that when a property's been on the group for however long and it's not biting at the $1,050,000 and it really needs to be a little under $1 million. So then we would really need to have it like 990, 985. Well, then if I do that, then whatever I get paid or someone else gets paid has to come out of the seller's money. So it's never been a big deal for any of my sellers because they see the interaction. They see you working. They see the ad getting reposted every other day. They see the effort that it's going into trying to sell their property off market so their tenants aren't bothered, so that, they don't have the stress of people calling them, and then they don't want it on the MLS. They don't want it on Craigslist or LoopNet. They don't want it any of those places, but they don't mind it being on my group because it's just on my group. Mm. And I try to always give them their price. And, because if you're dealing with somebody older that's got 2 children, and then I feel like that money is for their family. That man worked hard. He worked hard to buy the property. He worked hard to pay for it, pay the taxes and insurance for years. And so I don't feel like it's suited for me to take any amount of money out of their pocket. I feel like it's what I'm supposed to be doing is being fair. And I guess that's what's kept me as a wholesaler this many years and not out of business.
Okay. Do you deal with a lot of commercial brokers?
I do. I have several commercial brokers that I deal with. They all know what I do as well. Sometimes they bring clients for my deals, and then sometimes I bring buyers for their deals. We work well together. I'm never, I know my place, so to speak. When I'm around them, I don't talk the realtor lingo. I don't overstep. They're the ones that have gone to school and have that extra knowledge. Everything I sell is as is where it is. So if someone wants to do an inspection, this or that, I have no problem with it. But yes, I do a lot of business with brokers and or realtors. Okay.
All right. So guys, what we want to do is that, if you're watching this, some of you all may, obviously they're going to be wholesalers for sure. But some of you all may be actual buyers, and then somebody may have a property they actually want to sell if they're watching this. So, we're here to, give you an opportunity to work with Tammy. Hopefully on this. So as you see at the bottom of the screen, basically what it's going to do, if you text the word queen to 205-964-5243, you're going to get a return text with a link to her Facebook group. What's the name of your Facebook group, Tammy?
The name of my Facebook group page is called United States Off Market Real Estate Deals, all separate words. And it's a private group, closed group. And I have almost 8,000 members, and I created it in 2018. Okay.
So you heard what she said. You can go back and replay this, or you can just text the word queen there. So what's the expectation someone should be looking for? Because you're going to have a ton of deals in there posted, right? And so, obviously she already has her buyers in there that are, looking at stuff, but we don't know everybody, or what you may be capable of doing, but it still needs to be done a certain way. If you're going to promote one of her deals, because one of the unique things about it is that it's still technically off market because it's behind that wall, that privacy of that Facebook group. So if you can give them some insight, Tam, on what's your preference if someone's going to try to promote one or multiple of your deals to try to find a buyer from that angle, and then we'll get to someone if they want to actually buy one of the properties.
I do work with other wholesalers. I don't work with all of them. I like to work with like-minded people. When you were going to promote one of my deals, then I let you know what's on the table. I do not allow my deals to get up into deep daisy chains, because I feel like that affects my buyer or your buyer. It affects them. And that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here I call it get in and get out on every deal. Get in, get out. And that's, get the deal, get it under contract, get it sold, and go to the next one. And so if you have somebody that you think might be interested in one of the deals when you see it, you can, get a hold of me, let me know on Facebook Messenger, or you're welcome to call. I'll have you sign an NDA. If you have a buyer, they need to sign an NDA. And then if it's anything over $1 million, your buyer needs to provide a proof of funds letter, because I do stay very busy. And, excuse me, but you can, I'll let you know, how much is on the table that can be split. If you bring me a buyer, then we split 50-50. If there's 50,000 on the deal, then we make 25 each. I don't want you to, say that I've got a partner, I've got another partner, now they've got 6 people in it, and then I'm giving you 25, and now you've turned around and added another 150. I just don't get in those games. I've had a lot of people that have cried at a closing and said they haven't closed the deal. And a lot of them are realtors, that they haven't closed the deal in 6 months, that they were behind on their house. They didn't know how they were going to get turned around. They were so thankful to do this deal with me, and I split it with them. I always make sure I'm not making any more than anyone else. And I just feel like it's fair that way, because it takes 2 of us. I don't do it by myself. You're not going to ever do it by yourself. Some of your deals you will, but the true meaning of networking is sharing.
All righty. Well, I love it.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So you got your marching orders. All right. And, the opportunities exist out there, from houses to, there's no limit on the price on a piece of commercial real estate, if it makes sense. So, but none of this will happen unless you take action. So
right.
action.
I never give up.
Yeah, never give up,
Never.
No one's saying it's easy, by no means.
No
one is saying that, but it's possible. I am no smarter than you are. She may be, but I am no smarter than you are. The only thing that I will do, and it's got me in a little trouble over the years too, I've taken action. So I'm going to do that if I don't do anything else. So, again, Tim, we really appreciate you, giving us the time here to share your story and the opportunity. And, as I always like to say, guys, thanks. And we will see you on the flip side.
Bye, Flip Man. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Boom.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.